Sup, Deadites. I want to thank y'all for the support. Now, y'all might want to stay tuned to the end here because we're not going to have the usual outro. Remember the Trisha trailers? There's going to be a trailer for something I'm working on in the background. I can't give you a date on it, but I think you'll all like the concept. Sub Deadites, we are back with part 2 of What If Deku Wasn't Saved in Time. Now, usually I'd give you a moderate time skip, but not in this one. I'm gonna pick us up right about an hour after we left off. Mikosa is sleeping in their mother's sink. The bed didn't really work for them. Oddly enough, the hard surfaces were, well, more ideal. I don't know if it was the porous nature of the sink or, well, either way, the sink was a good surface for them to sleep. They are currently out cold. So you're telling me that this happened because you failed to stop a villain? Inko venomously spat at All Might, and that's when Night Eye came to the rescue. It was also your failure to track your child. Ugh. It was also your failure to keep track of your child that is to blame here. Had you kept a hold of your child, they wouldn't be in this predicament. Inko wanted to slap Night Eye, but she was right. She sighed in defeat and cried a bit. All Might and Mirio shot Night Eye glances, but she didn't care. Night Eye knows the pain of being a lost child well and won't show Inko sympathy for her negligence. All Might assures Night Eye that Inko is not her mother and that she should apologize. It was 100% clear that Night Eye was projecting her pain and anger to Inko, and that just wasn't fair. Night Eye's mother left her on purpose. Inko was separated from her child by a rambunctious crowd. She admitted defeat and began to apologize, but noticed Inko crying. Reading people's minds without permission is rude, Miss Midoriya. Inko explains that she doesn't have as much control as her child, and sometimes gets related memories when someone unexpectedly grabs her, as is the case with Night Eye. This piques everyone's interest. If Inko was that strong, then this speaks volumes for Mikosa's potential. Night Eye tells Inko to think nothing of it, and they continue the conversation. However, this time, they know not to get handsy with Inko. They tell her what they know of the struggle Mikosa had to go through, what, including what they ate. Inko about lost her cookies at that realization. They can consume cooked food, but raw food works better, ma'am. Mirio explained for Inko. He also gives her a vivid explanation of how Mikosa laid waste to the compost bin. It would take some getting used to, but as long as she had her child and they were happy, that's all that mattered. Mikosa woke up a few hours later to see Inko sleeping on the couch. Well, that won't do. They enveloped their mother in, well, themselves. Get ready for a disturbing visual here. Mikosa expanded to do so and was in their puddle ball form, more accurately, while carrying their mother to her bed. The sight in front of them warmed their, well, I suppose they don't have a heart per se, but you get what I mean. There wasn't much to do really, so they made back for the sink, but Inko reached out mentally. Stay with me for a bit. They went back to their humanoid form and allowed Inko her indulgence. Now, having someone undeclared dead legally is a pain I would presume. Luckily, however, Mikosa was a friggin' kindergartner, and this was during break for the most part, so school wasn't a problem. Truancy not really gonna happen in this instance. And even if it was, I mean, anyone with a heart would give it a pass. Well, here's the thing. Mikosa was pretty adamant about being named as such. The renaming was easy to do, but being labeled genderless, the school system wasn't exactly having that. But in the end, they caved. With a bit of a push from Night Eye and her legal team. She and Inko had been hanging out quite a lot and seemed to enjoy each other's company. This is, by the way, months are going by here, so I should let you know that. This isn't all happening in like a week. They look at one another weirdly whenever they think Mikosa wasn't looking, but they, and by they I mean Mikosa, just shucked that under the silly grown-ups pile. They knew what was going on before they did. Not exactly were they invading their minds, per se. It was just that obvious to a 6-year-old. And that means that was really freaking obvious, and neither one really knew until it happened. Mikosa would be given more leeway than a normal child since, well, they're not exactly normal. I mean, psychic powers, plus the fact that they're a slime. Yeah, I don't think anybody's attacking them. However, Inko was pretty strict about them not leaving the complex alone. So, if they wanted to give their mommy some time to make kissy faces with Night Eye, then they'd need to be accompanied. They reached out mentally for All Might. Are you busy right now, Mr. All Might? I'd like to learn more about what I can do. All Might wasn't the least bit startled by what was going on. Like I said, this has been a couple of months, so they've all gotten 100% used to what Mikosa can do. I'm a little busy today, so I can't train you. But if you'd like to meet some good heroes, I could come get you, or I suppose you could have your friend pick you up. Do I even need to tell you that they vehemently say yes? They felt around their home and noticed that nothing could be found. Either their mommy and Night Eye were talking about something they didn't want them to hear, or they were just, well, making kissy faces. Well, keep in mind, guys, I'm talking from a 6-year-old's point of view, so back to the story. Mikosa forced their way through the barrier and let Inko know that they were heading out with All Might to a social party for heroes. Inko told Mikosa not to have too much fun and to be polite. They answered with a yes, mommy, and their ride arrived. A low-flying hawk. Now this is where things are going to get a little gross. I'm going to be saying that a lot through this story because... Now, Mikosa jumps into the hawk's open beak and just gives it its, well, coordinates. The hawk flies around, and when they get close, well, I think you get the point. Mikosa drops a line to not All Might, but Mirio. Now, Mirio is in his freshly minted Lemillion suit, and All Might is wearing, well, his also freshly minted suit, the one you're used to. I'm almost there. Mirio, could you come to the balcony, please? We're gonna need let in. Mirio answered out loud with, "Give me a sec." That was mostly for the hero he was talking to at the moment. Mirio opens the balcony door. The hawk Mucosa was riding in perched on All Might's shoulder. He knew right away that who this hawk was, and especially since they didn't close the call, All Might cleared his throat and said it out loud. "Young Mucosa, would you like to meet Endeavor and Ectoplasm?" Mucosa says yes, please. When Endeavor asks where they are, Mucosa slinks out of the hawk, to which they had named Watcher. Quite a few of the heroes were kind of grossed out at, well, what just happened, however. "Mucosa, go absorb some water." All Might knew that Mucosa technically didn't need it, because, well, Mucosa's really, clean. But, despite where they came from. But this is more for the comfort of everybody else. Watcher perched on her spot on a shelf that had been deemed hers. Watcher is no normal hawk, however. Mucosa discovered that they could enhance or in some cases diminish the strength of a living being. Watcher was their test subject on when they were figuring out what they could do to a, well, living body. Now, Watcher's about as smart as a human, roughly. She has some green in her plumage, even as a side effect of all the enhancements Mucosa's been, well, giving her. Watcher isn't exactly Nezu level, but thanks to the upgrades made to her, she at least knows how to scout, and can think, like I said, on a human capacity. This is in part to the amounts of, well, Mucosa that are, well, still in her and aren't leaving. But back to my point. Mirio walked over to her holding some jerky, to which, well, Watcher gladly gobbled. All Might, who is this? Endeavor looks closely at Mucosa. Child, I don't recall you having a kid. Now, for this we're going to say that All Might and Endeavor are a little chummier. They're not besties, but they're decent colleagues. Rivals, yes, but Endeavor's not going to just outright shun All Might. He's still trying to surpass him, however. Now, as for why all of these heroes are at All Might's pad, this is a bi-weekly gathering for a small group of heroes, and it's All Might's turn to host. This little one is Mucosa. They are my protege of sorts. Midnight asked about Mucosa's quirk before All Might could say anything. Hello, Miss Midnight. Hello, all. This is one of my quirks. Mucosa went on to tell the heroes their story, minus the one for all. Even Endeavor was shaken by that, and would make a point to spend a good amount of time with his family. Especially Shoto. And Toya. Yep, for this one, it just hasn't happened yet, don't worry. It may or may not. I'm not 100% where I'm going with that, but enough of my rambling. Back to the script, please. The day went well and the party was fun. After they saw Ectoplasm doing his thing, Mucosa displayed the ability to split. That got his interest, alright. Endeavor took All Might outside for some words. Mucosa kept their minds to themselves on that one now. What the hell? They're 6 years old! That's roughly Shoto's age. Endeavor's daddy instincts had been triggered. Look, man, you heard their story. I'm allowing them growth. Their body has become far more stable since they started doing this with me. Now, let's go back in and give them a fun time. Mikosa had an amazing time. They would have flown back, but Watcher was out like a light. Looks like they'd be sleeping at All Might's place. All Might had already made that call to Inko anyway, so it was more than okay. Flash half a year forward to the first year of primary school. Mikosa was given a deal. If they didn't feel comfortable with public school, then Night Eye would look into private tutoring. They weren't going to call her mama or anything like that at this point, but she was dating their mom and treating her right. She also treated Mikosa like they were her child, and they kind of liked that to a point. Now, as far as Mikosa, they were extremely early. Like, not hours early or anything like that, just early enough that any kids that were actually there were probably eating breakfast in the cafeteria. And since that's not really going to do much for Mikosa unless, of course, they eat a massive amount of, well, scraps, waste, or raw ingredients. So, and that would get them a lot of looks from, well, people. So they just slanked down to their seat and just huddled up on the desk. And just sat there and waited. And want to guess who they're sitting next to? That's right, none other than Bakugo.
Oh, I'm sitting next to Kachan. This ought to be fun.
That's when the teacher calls them out. Mikosa, I know you're most comfortable in that form, but would you please make a body and reintroduce yourself to your classmates? Well, it was time to put on a show. Mikosa thought to themselves. They slithered to the front of the class. The children were not prepared for what happened next.
Hello, I am Mikosa, and I shall be returning to class as of this day.
They let that word sink in.
I have two pretty powerful quirks. Both, however, are mutation quirks, and I can't really not use them, especially this one, otherwise I can't talk.
They realized that they were talking like a grown-up and dumbed it down a bit.
My other one is what you saw earlier. And, well, now I guess. But I wasn't always like this. You all used to call me by, well, two other names.
The teacher was giving them the wrap it up motion.
Izuku Midoriya was my official name before I was attacked by a villain and my body was turned into this. It's not as bad as it looks, however.
And in one final motion, Mikosa grew to an adult size and wrote one word on the board. Or rather, I'm sorry, not one word, one sentence on the board.
I'm not a bad slime. Also, I'm genderless.
Mikosa, we started to slink, but the teacher made them walk to their desk.
So much effort wasted for the comfort of others.
He also said something about quirk usage, but took it back since what they just said was 100% true. It literally cannot be helped. Otherwise, no conversations and puddle. When Mikosa got in their desk, Bakugo was being, once again, really, really nice. So was the whole class, actually.
Dude, we thought you were dead. There was a memorial and everything. You could have at least told me you were alive. Katsuki was thinking really loudly, and Mikosa's body faltered a bit. Sorry, too loud? Want to play after school? Mom would love to talk to you. Why have you been keeping yourself under wraps? Mikosa explains everything short of One for All, and Katsuki seems to understand, but says, or rather thinks, that they should have dropped a line sooner. Mikosa apologizes to their friend, and they both focus on class. Now, remember that Inko has more experience with the mental quirk? She's gonna start training her child to push further. Well, I say that, but it's more of a two-way type deal. See you next time.